Hello, Starfish. Brian King here. I've received a couple questions from parents about how to help their very rambunctious child with ADHD learn to sit at the table for meal times, to do homework and whatnot. And it's not as simple a solution as you would like, but the implications of being successful on this are huge. See, there's so much going on in my brain right now that I want to tell you that I want to remember. ADHD. The bottom line is the issue that we are addressing here for our kids is an issue of self-regulation. It's not a matter of, do they have manners? Are they well behaved? Will they do what they're told? This is about a child with a very ramped up nervous system, likely hyperactivity, very fidgety, and sitting still is very counterintuitive to a body that wants to do that. And we'll use my youngest as an example. And I owe my wife a tremendous amount of credit because it was her intuitiveness, her exploration with him that really led to us understanding what he needed in order to be able to sit still. Because he was the kid that would stand at his desk at school all day long, couldn't sit down for anything, who really needed to run around, be kinesthetic, bang and crash, get a lot of physical input just to feel comfortable. So in order for him to sit down, he needed to understand for himself why it was difficult for him to sit down. And one of the things we were able to get from him is he described this feeling of ants in his legs. Like his legs were crawling, like they just had to move. And kids with ADHD, and even some adults, have this as well. They feel this itch, this drive, this need to do something. And if they don't move, they feel like they're going to go crazy. So you'll see a lot of people bouncing their leg like crazy. The more they feel like they need to move, the faster that leg goes, to the point where the table starts shaking. I imagine you've encountered this. This is somebody that needs to stand, walk around, pace, and so on. But in his case, my wife wanted to work with him to help him understand what would calm him enough to be able to sit there. Well, one of the things we know about a dysregulated nervous system is that deep pressure is of tremendous help in organizing and calming things. So some of the things that she would do is under the table, she would use the heel of her hand and apply some pressure on one of his thigh muscles, because that can be very calming. She would stand behind him, gently press on his shoulders to give his spine some compression. Because not only would that help him calm, but that would tune him into, what does calm even feel like? What helps him feel like he's calming down, decompressing? Deep pressure is helpful. They make weighted blankets. They even make weighted dolls where you can buy a snake or some other kind of cute thing stuffed with the material of a weighted blanket so it's heavy. And a smaller child can have this draped across their legs at the table, putting a lot of down pressure on their thigh muscles, make it easier to sit without feeling fidgety. And your child being aware of this physiological need to move. It's their body, their legs, the tension in their belly, wherever they feel it, that's telling them, I can't sit here. Sitting here is uncomfortable. Sitting here makes me feel like I'm just gonna bust. I need to move. And you'll see kids who maybe they'll run to the table, they'll get a quick couple of forkfuls, then they'll go and play. Or they'll run around, or they'll start bugging somebody like a sibling because they just need to use their body. But they don't know what calm feels like. So helping them discover that, and most importantly, how to achieve it, is not just good for sitting at the table, it's good for life. You know, they're going to have to sit at school, whether it's grade school or on to college. If they have some kind of desk work that they eventually need to do, either as an entrepreneur like myself or working for someone else, they need to be able to self-calm and regulate so that they can be more productive. And teaching your child to sit at the table is a perfect opportunity to teach them the self-awareness and the self-regulation skills they're going to need for these other situations where they're going to have to sit. Maybe they take a train to work. Maybe they take a bus. You know, there are going to be times where they have to sit and wait. It's not just the school. We talk a lot about movement breaks at school, and I'm a big fan of those. They're really important. But in addition to that, we also need those self-regulation skills for the times where it's really not that much of an option to get up and move around and mill. Okay, you follow me? So helping your child understand what does an excited body feel like. Help them find some language. We can say stuff like, do you feel uncomfortable? Do you feel fidgety? And that's all well and good, but our son described it as he feels like there's ants all over his legs. That's his experience, and we need to figure out how to remove the ants, how to calm it down so the ants go to sleep or the ants go away. So this conversation around how you feel, how you think about it, letting them kind of build up their toolbox full of strategies they can use to be able to sit calmly in a regulated way. That's what you're working towards. And your child may not be able to accomplish this at 6 or 7 or 8 years old. But as their nervous system kind of matures and calms down with these strategies, as they mature and their self-awareness improves, you will possibly find that they more and more are able to sit at the table longer and longer, and it's less of an issue. So just because they don't master this skill at a younger age doesn't mean that you have blown past some developmental stage you'll never get back again. We know that our kids are kind of a bit slower than the typical peers at gaining certain skill sets because their typical peers have a well-regulated nervous system for the most part. Our kids are swimming upstream against a nervous system that one day could have it pretty well together, and the next day, just because their sleep was a little bit off, they're completely dysregulated. And now that's what you have to deal with. But you don't have to deal with it in a vacuum. You deal with it with the self-regulation skills that you've learned and been practicing since childhood that began with how do you learn to sit at the table. So you see how this begins as something simple but can generalize into the rest of their lives and be something profoundly useful in terms of not only social strategies, but self-awareness, self-care, self-acceptance. That's what we want for our kiddos. And it's amazing how so much of that can begin by simply helping them discover how to sit at the table with the rest of the family. So that's my thoughts on this. Hopefully it's been helpful. Leave me some comments. Let me know what you think. And if there's somebody else that needs to see this, make sure they do. And until we talk next time, this has been Brian. Thanks for being you.